I want to give you an update on the drip irrigation. It has been so nice. We filled a 5-gallon bucket with water and let it go. And it has been a lifesaver. It has been over 100 degrees here for the last 2 weeks. We have yesterday and today's been a little cooler, and we're fixing the hundreds for the next 10 days.
Okay. Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to the Farm to Table Direct Show with your host, myself, Ryan, my brother Keith, off to my right. And today we have an exciting episode lined up for you as we dive into the world of sustainable living and homesteading. We are thrilled to introduce our special guest, LaRain Cihak.
Cihak.
From Bluff Creek Acres. LaRain, along with her husband Chris, made the brave move from Nebraska to Oklahoma, where they now live off-grid on a sprawling 40-acre homestead. Their journey is truly inspiring, especially considering their first winter in Oklahoma was spent in a travel trailer amidst very brutal conditions. LaRain will also be a featured speaker at the upcoming Oklahoma Homestead Rendezvous on September 27th and 28th, where she will share her expertise on rainwater catchment, a crucial topic for anyone interested in sustainable water management. So be sure to join in, folks, on our live chat. Hit that like button, ring the bell, and share this so we can get the word out. LaRain, welcome to the show.
Thanks for having me.
So we're going to just get started here. Can you share with us just a little bit about your journey from Nebraska to Oklahoma before you decided to pursue homesteading? Kind of tell us a little bit about that.
Sure. We moved to Nebraska from Texas, which is where we're originally from, and because of a job for Chris, my husband. And then lived in a little small town in Nebraska, grew a garden in the backyard, started learning to can, doing some of those little things that we now think of as just everyday normal life. And then you got a job offer in Oklahoma. And we had looked at some properties in Nebraska, but decided that that just wasn't where we were supposed to be. So we moved to Oklahoma, rented a house for a little while, then bought our RV and started our look for a homestead property in Oklahoma. It's centrally located for us. We have family, kids and grandkids in Nebraska, and we have family in Texas. So it kind of put us in the middle. We could get wherever we wanted to go in about the same amount of time. And so that's why we ended up in Oklahoma.
Well, listen, so what inspired you to make that dramatic shift from a small town lifestyle to off-grid living altogether?
It was a little bit of a process. It wasn't like an overnight decision. We wanted to be self-reliant for the most part. I mean, you can never be totally reliant on yourself, but as much as we could. And also we wanted peace and quiet. We lived in a small town where the train came through all night long.
We know about the train.
We have always lived next to a train somehow or another in our moves. And we just wanted a little peace and quiet. We can sit in our yard and we can hear the birds. We can hear the chickens. We can hear the neighbor's dogs, but that's okay because they're 40 acres away.
Right.
So we just wanted that kind of peace and quiet and that self-reliance.
So were you already dreaming about a homestead while you were still in Nebraska? Was this something that was on the radar for you?
It was kind of on the radar. It's where it kind of began. Like we were kind of like, we could do this. We started thinking about it, talking about it, doing some research, but it wasn't like, we have to do this right now thing. We really kind of took our time and decided that Nebraska was not where we wanted. It's for several reasons. It's got a smaller growing season. You can't grow okra very well in Nebraska. So, priorities.
Fried okra.
So
love it.
Yeah. So it was just kind of a very gradual thing in Nebraska. But upon knowing we were moving to Oklahoma, and one of the other reasons that we looked at Oklahoma was because of the land available here, the pricing on land, and the growing season. And those kinds of things that we would want to do as a homestead.
Yeah. We talked about the move to Oklahoma. I mean, one, living in a travel trailer.
Yes.
Still living in a travel trailer.
Still living in a travel trailer.
Right. And having done that for even just a few months, I recognize that challenge.
Yes.
So I know there was challenges when you were hunting for the land and you were trying to find that place. What kept you motivated?
Wanting that peace and quiet and that reliance, just knowing that Oklahoma is where we were supposed to have our homestead, and just moving towards that every day and in our travel trailer, we lived in an RV park on a highway. So
That'll drive you to leave.
every day you hear the traffic all day, every day, all day long, and you're like, I can't stay here much longer. So it was very motivating to be able to just have our own space.
So when you first found the 40 acres, kind of like, what was your feeling when you said, "Oh, this is it"?
That
this
was
piece of
it.
land,
In
right?
fact, my first video is about walking our property for the first time. You couldn't drive in; you had to walk in, and we both just knew immediately, like, this is it. This is our spot. This is our final home. This is where we're going to fulfill all the dreams we have for our homestead and our life.
So what was your first steps?
First steps. Wow. Well, there was no access in. So first step was to clear a spot for Chris to camp while he was clearing a driveway.
Right.
So he would spend weekends down there and all his free time down there doing all of that. And so getting the driveway in, and then we had to get our solar set up. We had to get our RV cover in. We brought in a storage container to store our stuff in. And then once that was all in, we started the rainwater system, but we couldn't complete it until the trailer was moved in, because the way it sets up, you had to move the trailer in and then we could complete the system. So those were the first things, was getting our solar, our rainwater, our RV cover, and access. That was the priority. The first few things we had to do.
So, I'm kind of going to move into that winter challenge, but how much of a timeline did you have from the time you dropped that trailer and all that stuff in there before winter was coming?
Well, it was a couple of months. So we moved in our trailer in September of 2020.
Right.
And so then we had just a couple of months before it got cold.
Right. Well, that's what we're talking about. That you talked about that first one being really harsh,
Mm-hmm.
and which I find funny, because y'all moved from upper Nebraska. I know where y'all moved from. I've been there, and I know what Nebraska winter is.
Yes.
So it came south with you.
It came with us that year. Yes, it did. I told Chris a couple times, we left Nebraska. I feel like I'm back in Nebraska.
Right.
So, for the watchers, why don't you kind of explain a little bit about that first winter and what exactly happened?
So that first winter was the winter here that we had like 14 days of snow on the ground, below freezing weather, negative degrees at night. And we live in an RV and it's cold. I mean, RVs are not insulated. They're not made for living in full time.
Right.
So, and we also have to consider our power consumption, because it's cloudy and it's gray and we're not getting as much solar power as we would like. So we're using a generator to run our house. So we have heat. You're wearing 2 pairs of socks and a pair of house shoes and a jacket and whatever. And then because we know where we want to put our house, we've placed our garden and our animals and those kinds of things adjacent to where we would be comfortable from our house. So from our trailer where we're living now to where the animals are is quite a distance. So then it's trekking through the snow down to take care of the animals and all that 2 or 3 times a day, make sure their waters aren't frozen. It was crazy, but we also had to worry about, our water freezing.
Right.
This is the first winter with the rain catchment, and our ball valve on our tank
Froze.
was insulated, but we added more insulation. We were checking it constantly. We were actually using a blow dryer to blow warm air in there just to make sure that we weren't going to lose, because if that ball valve goes, we lose all our water.
Right.
So
of course, I have to ask you, did you feel like giving up? Did you look at it and say, I think maybe I might have made a mistake here? Or
we had a little bitty
how did you
generator that you had to, yank on really hard to get it started.
Yeah.
I did not like that thing. It didn't like me. That was my biggest frustration through the winter. I would actually yank on it and it'd go flying because I would yank on it too hard and couldn't hold it down with one hand. It was just an experience. But other than those kinds of little frustrations, no, I never thought, oh no, we made a mistake, or, oh, I can't do this. Now looking back, it's like, oh, well, we did that. So anything else is going to be at least
right.
we know we can get through that. So
Right, it's trial by fire, but in
Yes.
this case, trial by snow. Probably.
trial by snow. Yes. And I did not own a pair of Carhartts at the time, but I
Oh,
do now.
right.
That was
Because if it
easy.
ever happens again, I will be nice and
Well,
toasty warm.
Yeah.
when he first, we were first talking about everything, and and mentioned the winter, I was like, of course, I didn't know exactly where y'all were located, and I'm like, man, I know it gets that way on the north side of Tulsa, up there on that Kansas border, but down south, and you don't usually get pretty rough.
No, normally it doesn't. But then that year.
And you talk about things preparing. I was an over the road trucker for a lot of years, and my wife went with me for a part of a summer, and we learned how to live in a sleeper on a truck and not kill each other for 2 or 3 weeks.
Mhm.
And so then when we moved into the travel trailer and winter was coming and 0 degrees was coming, so I had to go out and unhook the water and make sure the pipes didn't freeze. But I was like, this is 33-foot long travel trailer. This is nothing compared to that semi trailer.
Right.
We got a bathroom. We can go to several. We can leave.
Yes. Yeah. You can get a little bit of distance between
Right.
yourselves. Yeah.
But but yeah, that is that challenge, and I mean the resilience, from learning that. I mean, you kind of alluded to it, that it carries you through so much of that.
Right.
You know.
Yeah. Yeah. So we just learned that if we could get through that winter and all that cold weather. I was also wearing a boot on my ankle because the day before it snowed, I tripped and twisted my ankle really bad. So in the snowstorm, Chris is taking me to the doctor because we're not sure it's not broken the next morning when
Right.
it's all swollen. So, just one thing after the other, after the other, after the other. So if you get used to that, you can know that you can
Right.
get through that then.
Well, so I guess the lesson to our listeners, or lesson to anybody that's going to watch this later, is don't let the knocks catch you. Just kind of keep hitting it, keep going after it.
There's always a light at the end of the tunnel, and
Right.
it's short term. Winter only lasts so long. Summer heat only lasts so long.
Right.
You look forward to that spring and that fall
Right.
when you can really just enjoy it all, and then know that the rest is going to be short term as well.
So I take from that your why has to be greater than the challenges before you.
Yes,
When you say
definitely,
so.
definitely.
You
You know
really
that this is where you're supposed to be. This is what you're supposed to be doing, and this is what you want to be doing. You can do it. It definitely.
So a step-by-step approach. Now, when we were talking earlier, you said that it was your policy that you're going to take one step at a time, and you're going to finish that step before you ever go to the next one.
Mm-hmm.
Why was that so important to you guys?
Well, we learned from a lot of other homesteaders that you can get overwhelmed if you try to do too much too fast. And I heard one of them say, be the master of one. So make one thing doable and then add the next thing. So even if it's just learning how to raise chickens, getting your coop set up, your building set up, whatever you're doing, and get that system running, then add another one. Because if you jump in and you try to do chickens and goats and horses and cows and everything else, you're going to get overwhelmed and you're going to get burned out. And you're going to probably walk away because it's not an easy lifestyle. We love it, but it's not easy. And so when you pile it all on at one time, then you really overwhelm yourself. So if by doing it also one step at a time, you do it better.
Mm-hmm.
You put your infrastructure in and it's better built. You
Right.
know it's working. You're taking your time. You're making it right, so you don't have to come back and fix it later.
So apparently there are people out there who just have this idea that they want chickens, they want goats, they want cows, and they go out and they buy all of this stuff before they ever build the infrastructure.
Mm-hmm.
So that would be, I think, pretty important to you guys.
Why are you throwing
right?
rocks at me?
Hey, man, I didn't say your name. I was trying to protect you here. But
Yeah.
Yes, you just don't want to overwhelm yourself. And then you are with all these animals and you don't know how to take care of them and you don't have the infrastructure. And baby steps.
Right.
Baby steps always work better.
Yeah. I'll share what we're talking about. I wasn't even living on the property yet. My son-in-law and daughter were up there, and we had a pen built for our dogs that were up there because we had 2 and we had to keep them put up because they tore everything up they could get a hold of. And he came across an opportunity to get a goat. I'm like, I'll go in half with you.
Yeah.
No idea.
No idea.
Got a pen. Hey, listen, don't go in there. Just put them in there. Didn't know that goats are a social creature. If you have one by himself, he is going to leave.
He is very unhappy, yes.
And very scared and very unhappy, and 2 dogs that were not happy about it either. And so I said, either somebody got a free goat or somebody got a free dinner. One of the 2 happened, but there was a $150 lesson on
Right.
a goat because we didn't have things ready.
Right.
And so that was my thing. After that, I was like, okay, no more animals, no more nothing until I'm up there and we got things where we can have them.
Right.
And so it was that lesson learned the hard way.
Right. And the other thing is when you're starting a homestead and especially if you're on new land, you don't always know how your land is going to react, like in rain, those
Right.
kinds of things. So you don't want to go in and drop a bunch of infrastructure or a bunch of animals. And then all of a sudden you're in a situation where you have your chickens that are, in 2 feet of water because you got to go wash your rain and you didn't
Right.
realize that that's rain. So that's another reason to take your time is to learn your land
Right.
and the layout of your land and how it reacts to different
Yeah.
weather
I'm
situations.
getting confirmation on all kinds of things because we've
Well-
had that property for 5 years. And for 5 years, I could drive anywhere on that property I wanted to drive. It was solid. This last year, we had so much rain
Mhm.
that I was getting stuck in places that I had never had water. So, yeah,
Yeah. You have to learn the lay of your land.
right. So,
Right.
Man.
So
you or me?
I think it's
I think it's mine, right?
mine,
Yeah. Sorry to lose track. That's
No,
what we
that's
do.
okay.
So, what's been some of the most rewarding projects so
Right.
far?
Let me kind of restate that. The one that probably eased your mind the most, if you will, like, which one said, we finally got this part done and it's made our life a little bit easier to deal with.
The garden. I would say for me, the garden gave me the biggest sense of an accomplishment.
Mhm.
Although we continue to build on it, that first garden, because then I knew we have raised garden beds, so I knew we could grow our food. I knew that it was protected from the deer and the other animals, and that if nothing else, we always had some kind of food, a space to grow food. And I love our garden. It's also one of our favorite things to do together, to go down and garden, and it's a relaxing thing for us.
Mhm.
So it's a place where we can go and just kind of zone out and do our thing and enjoy it. So that is for me, that is the biggest.
What's the biggest one?
That's the biggest one.
Right. And ladies and gentlemen, we are here with LaRain Cihak, and we're going to be talking about rainwater catchment systems here in just a minute. But before we get to that, I just want to get a little word from our sponsor.
That's right.
Yeah, that'd be you.
That'd be me. I just was waiting for my cue over there. But anyway, all right. Farm to Table Direct Coffee. Are you ready for the freshest cup of coffee you've ever tasted? Welcome to Farm to Table Direct Coffee, your destination for specialty coffee roasted to perfection. At Farm to Table Direct Coffee, we offer a wide variety of premium coffee beans. And unlike the commodity coffee that is on the shelves at most stores, our beans are hand-picked for ripeness. And it's available in several packaging options to suit your needs. Different size ounces, beans ground or not ground, all that good stuff. All right. The process is simple. Place your order and our expert roasters get to work. Your coffee is roasted and shipped the very same day, ensuring peak freshness and flavor. You can't get it any fresher, folks. And I'll tell you, it couldn't be easier. From placing the order to receiving notifications throughout the process, Farm to Table Direct Coffee will keep you informed of every step of the way. And for the freshest custom roasted coffee, visit our store, farmtotabledirectcoffee.com. That is the farm, not the farm, the number 2 table direct coffee.com.
Yeah, it's new, guys. So,
You'd think I've said the farm to table, and I'm so used to putting the in front of it, the Farm to Table Direct Coffee.
yeah, let me say, did you say farm, the number 2 table,
Farm
direct coffee.com?
That's what I said.
That's what I
Farm to
thought.
Table Direct, farm number 2 table directcoffee.com. And experience the difference that Farm to Table Direct Coffee can make in your morning routine. Farm to Table Direct Coffee. From the farm to your table, the freshest coffee guaranteed.
Okay, so now we're going to get into the water catchment systems, LaRain. And let's just talk a little bit about that. Why did you prioritize this project on your homestead? I mean, I think the answer is pretty obvious, but I just want to hear it from you. At what point did you guys do that part?
So it was a process, just like deciding to go off grid. But for us, there were a couple parts of it. When we bought our property, we knew that whatever property we bought, we would do a well or rainwater catchment. Because Chris actually has reactions to the water here in Oklahoma.
Mhm.
He actually has an allergic reaction to the water.
That is bizarre.
Inter-
Yes,
Interesting.
it's an unusual thing, but it does happen.
He's over in the background. I had to look over and I'm like, really?
Yes, yes. So even before we moved into our RV at our rental home, we were filtering water for him to cook with and stuff. But we knew we would do a well or rainwater. And then once we purchased our property, then it was just a matter of deciding which way we wanted to go. Logically, it just worked better for us to do rainwater. Financially, it was much better to do rainwater. We could do a system for a lot less than a well. And then we also had to consider that since we had gone solar, we would have to have another whole system set up to run a pump
Right.
on the well. So rainwater was just really kind of logical for us. It was we knew it would be one or the other, but in our situation on this property, that's the one that was the most logical.
I'm going to take a little break right in here, bro. I know we just did the little commercial break, but
Sure.
we've had some people coming in on the chat over here.
Okay.
And, of course, Chris from the Rendezvous said, hey. And Chris Tyler said, Natalie's scared to say hi. So, hey.
Don't be scared.
Linda Saunders said, hi, Layla, Lala.
Lala. That's
Lala.
my sister.
Okay.
Everybody calls me Lala.
Okay. And somebody, Nama said, hi, Mom.
Hi, Mom.
Oh,
Are you-
that's my daughter, Natalie.
Okay.
Oh,
okay. Nama.
Hello,
And
Nama.
Cheyenne said, hi, Auntie.
Yep,
So,
yep.
all right. So you're all in there.
They're all in there.
That's good. Glad y'all are joining us. Glad you're here with us. Just want to take a minute to acknowledge the text. And hey, if you got any questions or, if you're making plans to visit, you can throw it up there so they'll know you're coming.
My sister will actually be here tomorrow.
Oh, awesome. Well, hey, safe travels.
Yes,
So,
she'll
yeah.
be here tomorrow.
Okay.
Nice.
Well, you talked about that priority. I mean, of course, I've told, Keith in a lot of our conversations, number one is water.
Always.
I mean, always. If you don't
Always.
have water,
You have nothing.
Hey, Jack and Dina, nice to see you there. Anyway, yeah, you always got to have water. If you don't have water, you have nothing.
Right.
Water is life.
Yes.
And but how has it impacted your daily life? I mean,
It is definitely a big change of mindset when you do rainwater catchment, because you have to figure out everything you can do to conserve water. Conservation is your main goal.
Right.
Because we have a 2,100 gallon tank. If that runs dry, I don't have any water. I can't call the city and say, hey, come turn my water back on, or what's happening.
Right.
But so, we use a composting toilet, which saves water. We don't have a dishwasher. We take very short showers. Yes. Military showers for him, but even really short showers. And then, our daily life is affected in that, today I can do laundry at home because we're going to have a rain, or we've just had rain and we have enough water. But 3 weeks from now, I might have to go to the laundromat to do water because we're at the point where we have to think about saving water.
right.
And even through the drought last year, we had to really conserve water and make sure we weren't overusing it. So every day it impacts how you decide to do certain things that you would normally not ever think about. You always just think, oh, I can throw my clothes in laundry and, hang them on the line and be good, and not have to think about how much water is
Right.
that going to use.
Right.
Well, you said that you couldn't call the city.
That's interesting.
I knew
Now-
where he's going now.
let me say this.
This is funny.
She can't call the city, but she works for the city water department.
I do work for a rural water department. I don't really work for a city department, but I do work for a rural water department, which I didn't work for them when we moved onto our property. I took the job afterwards, but it's been an eye opener, even for somebody who does rainwater catchment. I've learned a
Right.
lot about conserving water and how much water people actually use
Right.
on a daily basis. We've calculated out that we use about 400 gallons of water a month
Okay.
for the two of us. I have customers who use 8,000 and 9,000 gallons of water
I started
every
saying,
month.
I'm
Wow,
a
what are they-
3,000 gallon guy. I'm telling you.
But when we
I
lived
see
in
my
a-
bill every month.
Right, but when we lived in town and we used water in Nebraska, I never looked at my bill even to know how much water. Like, it was not anything I ever thought about, or even now people call and say, why did my bill so high? Well, the first thing I ask them is, do you have a toilet that's running? Because
Yeah, for sure.
I never knew how much water one of those could
That little
use.
drip, drip, drip matters.
It adds up fast. I mean, so
That's why I
working
watch.
for the water department has been really eye-opening in
That's
a lot
why I
of ways.
watch-
Well, now I've got to ask you. I've been dying to ask this
Okay.
question to you.
Here we go.
Come here just a minute.
Okay.
Does the water company know that you don't buy water from them?
Yes, they know that I'm on Rainwater, and I don't even work for the one close to where I live, and so it's
okay.
not even local to where I live.
No skin off their back.
No, but they do all know that we live off Rainwater. So it's a conversation that comes up every once in a while when the weather
Okay,
gets crazy.
we got a question from Jack Dyer
Okay.
from
Okay.
Dyer Family Farms. He says, "Do you have to get a permit for rainwater catchment in Oklahoma?"
No,
There you go, Jack.
no, you do
Now
not.
you know.
You do not.
Yeah,
Well, there you go.
you're hanging out in the right place. If you guys have got
Got
questions,
questions, right? I mean,
time to
that's,
ask it right
definitely.
now.
hey,
Yes.
hey, if you want to understand that fancy math that they come up with your water bill, because I promise you, it's some scientific calculations that comes up with that
Right.
millage.
I thought it was voodoo magic. or
It's voodoo
something.
magic.
Yeah.
There you go.
Because it's like but you talked about the leaks and talked about like I said, a toilet running or
Right.
a shower dripping, or,
Yes.
and because I'm on a rural water, I have wells on the property, but I'm on a rural water thing, and that was the thing, was what got me in the habit of looking at that usage every month and what money is, because we had leaks and we had there's bills jumping through the roof, and it made no sense. Why all of a sudden
Right.
and I can't find a leak anywhere on the ground. It was a toilet running, and
Yep.
I didn't know it. It was in a back bathroom, and toilet was running,
Yep.
and got that shut off, and bill dropped up.
Right.
Yeah,
Which-
they can use 10,000 gallons of water in a month.
And
Right.
it's
So-
Easy.
I would think that being off the grid and depending on rainwater catchment, that you really got to be mindful about those little things
Yes.
a lot.
Yes.
She eliminated the water to the toilet. So.
yes. Yes.
Well,
But we did. But even like running a faucet too long when you're brushing your teeth
mhm.
or when you're doing dishes. When I go to rinse dishes, I rinse the dish and I turn the water off.
Right.
And then I pick up the next dish and rinse it, shut the water off. Because normally you would just leave the water running because you don't think about that. But
Right.
cutting that water on and off, whether you're, or when you wash your hands, a lot of us when we were kids, our parents would tell us, turn the water off while you're brushing your teeth, turn the
Right.
water off while you're washing your hands. There was a reason for that. And
Right.
it adds up very quickly.
Right.
Very
Well,
quickly.
so we grew up in a house with 6 people.
Mhm.
So it was 2 adults, 4 kids. And yeah, it was like, you didn't go in there and take no hour-long shower.
No.
I promise. It was
No,
not happening.
no.
Not without getting yelled at.
Right. Yeah.
But plus it was the only bathroom, so everybody wanted you out anyway.
Yes.
But no, how much that impact. So I'm going to ask, because I know you live in a travel trailer, not because since I have one, I know they have a pump
Yes.
that'll pull water.
Yes.
Is that what you use to get the water through the travel trailer?
Yes.
Okay.
We have to because our trailer sits above the ground. So you
Okay.
have to pull the water up. When we build our house, it will be gravity fed.
Okay. All right. See, because that was my question, was like, how do you get it from the tank to the sink?
Right. It comes just a regular pump, just like we've plumbed it in, but it would be just like a regular RV pump,
Okay.
and it just pumps it up
Now,
into the house.
You mentioned the gravity feed later when
Yes.
the house is built. Now, is that going to be on the side of the house and it's going to run through a pipe in the attic and drop down, or?
Well, the water where our water tank is now
Right.
is one of the higher points of our
Okay.
property,
So
and our
okay.
house will be much lower.
Okay.
So
you'll
it'll
have
just gravity feed
Okay.
into there.
Okay.
So you will use right now. I believe if I remember what you said earlier, that right now you have different systems on the property.
Mhm.
One is the cover for your travel trailer.
Mhm.
The roof system there is collecting, and that one is for human consumption.
Yes.
But it's not just human consumption.
No.
What else?
We do use some of that water for watering, like our cats and dogs, animals up closer to the house.
Mhm.
But then we have 2 chicken runs and 2 chicken coops, and we collect rain off of a small roof that's between those 2 where we keep our rabbits.
Right.
And that water we use to water all of our animals, our rabbits, our chickens. So the water's right there. It's a big tank hose. We can just fill all the waters.
Okay.
And then we have a big IBC tote in our garden because we use a drip system in our garden. It sits at the highest point of our garden because our whole property pretty much slopes. And then we do pump water into that to water our garden.
So you're pumping that one out of the main into the IBC tote.
Well, we
Or-
pump water out of our creek and pump it into the IBC
Oh,
tote.
so you've
Creek.
got a creek
We
that's
have a creek.
involved with this
Yes.
one.
Oh,
So do you
okay.
have any plans to increase your surface area?
We will. We'll be building a canning shed that we'll collect rain off of, as
Mhm.
well as anything that we can build and put a barrel on it. We have an outdoor shower outhouse combination,
Mhm.
and it will have rainwater catchment as well.
So, what would be, let's say, for you guys, and knowing that you've got a garden, you've got animals, and you're trying to take care of them with water catchment systems, what would be like that perfect amount of rain to catch so that it made your life a lot easier?
wow. I don't know. Depends on the surface you're working off of. Like for
Sure.
our house, you know, the first rain we had was 3 inches, and we got our tank over halfway full because it gave us we get almost 500 gallons off of our RV cover. So for the year, I don't know. That's a good question. The amount of rain we actually need for a whole year, I've never calculated
Well, I
the
mean,
full year.
well, I mean, you said 400 gallons a month, so I mean that's
Right.
4,800
gallons a year,
a year.
and we
so,
don't. We've not been below the 1,000 gallon, 800 gallon mark. It's probably the lowest we've
So-
ever been.
If would it be safe to say if you doubled the 2,100 gallon tank
Yes.
and had enough surface to support that? Now,
Oh, we have enough surface already to support that. In the
Oh.
spring, when it rains, we have water that runs off out of our overflow because we need a second tank.
I'm gonna. I'm probably getting in. I don't want to give too much away for things coming down the road, but I mean,
Right.
because like right now, I'm like, I know what happens to water when it sits in the tank.
Yes.
How do you get past that?
Yeah.
And I'm away from the mic. He's always daggum directors. Anyway,
Yeah.
no. I'm
So-
just messing with you.
We have a filter system where it comes into our house.
Okay.
And we will have a filter system in our home when we build a home because you will get sediment. We have a first flush
Okay.
system that is a system that's set up to basically cleans your roof.
Okay.
So the first 55 gallons of water that comes off our roof goes into a separate little tank, and then it starts to fill our big tank. So that cleans all the dust, the pollen. Pollen's a big problem.
Right.
All the extra little sticks and leaves and whatever into that first flush, and then it goes into the big tank. So that helps keep a lot of that out of your tank.
Okay. So I'm assuming a metal roof is preferred over
A metal roof is definitely preferred.
Okay.
Yes. Yes.
right.
note to self because
And-
the shingle roof needs to leave.
And
Yes.
And I'll just say to everybody here is that there you go. It didn't even occur to me that you had to let a certain amount of rain wash your roof before you start collecting.
Yes, you do.
And if you want to learn more about how that works, of course, we're hoping that everybody will come out and support us at the Oklahoma Homestead Rendezvous because
Absolutely.
LaRain will be there as one of the speakers and
Yes.
speaking on this particular topic.
Yes.
Yep.
And LaRain is there. And guys, I want to say, if there's any questions right now that you want to ask LaRain, this is the time to do it.
Right. Yeah, that's what I'm saying. Now, Jack did ask, he said he missed it, which you referenced how big your tank was, but you said 2,100
It's
gallons.
a 2,100 gallon
2,100
tank.
gallon. And Kyle said, hi, Lola. This is Kyle.
Hi, Kyle.
Jack is on it. How do you keep a tank clean from algae?
You want a black tank,
Okay.
so you don't want a clear tank because the light is what will actually create the algae.
Okay. Notes.
Right. And I was wondering that because I think we had that little bit of the conversation about they were black. And I noticed also that your IBC tank was black.
Yes, we have one IBC tote that we painted black as a test to see how it would work. We prefer to just wrap them in good
Plastic.
heavy plastic,
Okay.
black plastic, because light is what will create your algae. And if there's no light getting to it, you won't get algae in it.
Well, now I've heard something about algae. Mold is not okay, but algae is okay. What do you have to say about that? And we talked about a gentleman a little bit earlier, and he's the one that said it to me. He said, I don't mind drinking algae, water that has algae, but not that kind. What do you have to say to that individual?
For me, I would say that's a personal decision.
Mhm.
I don't know that I would drink water with algae. I mean, I'm not saying I wouldn't.
Right.
It is a naturally occurring thing,
Mhm.
and mold is too. But
Sure.
yes, mold would definitely be, I would say, more detrimental. I would not drink water with mold. Algae would be questionable, just for me on a personal level. It wouldn't hurt animals though, so you could
Yeah.
definitely use it for your animals.
Well, let's just say, I mean, I know I work in the poultry industry, and we use what we have water tanks for everything, and we even have water that sprays water onto the chickens and such. And yeah, those tanks on the inside, oh, there's green algae. It's everywhere in there, and it's like, we're all gonna die. This water's gonna kill us one day. But
I don't think the algae will kill you, but
no.
I don't know that it may not.
Well,
it may not taste good.
It just don't, we don't try not to drink it, but it just
Yeah.
it's like I used to. It's not as bad now, but I used to on my glasses. The old systems we had, I couldn't wear my glasses out there because it'd be covered in film from the oils and stuff in that tank. But so yeah, that does matter. And so that's a good question, Jack. I mean, as far as keeping those clean,
Yep.
Yeah, Jack. And so man, I don't want to give too much away. We can say I can have this conversation because I'm like absorbing knowledge here by the second.
Well, you'll just have to come to the presentation.
Well, we'll have to make sure we make a point to that one.
Yep.
Chris, by the way, from Oklahoma Homestead Rendezvous, said super excited for LaRain to be there.
Awesome.
So
Thank you.
Yeah. So, and I'll tell you after, to me, it's like there's so much more to it.
Yes, there's a lot to it.
Because I thought it was put a tank out there and catch the water.
Nope.
Now I have seen where people have them where they have the 55-gallon blue drums and it goes through the different filters. I mean, is that something y'all use? Or?
We don't, but it is an option.
Okay.
Yep, it is an option and a different way to filter your water. You can do it that way.
So are you filtering for your animals?
No.
No need for that? Okay.
They got their own filter.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
Right.
I mean, you think about it, animals, my chickens, they go out and drink whatever water's in the ground.
I know my dog. My dog will walk right past a bowl of cold, clean water to the dirty pot of water.
Yes. Animals are fine with it, so they don't care, so they'll drink it.
Right. And so how long did you, I know that you watched Off Grid with Doug and Stacy, and you learned a lot from them about their water catchment system.
Yes.
And how much information did you absorb before you guys jumped into it?
A lot. Doug and Stacy's system is very much similar to what we've set up for the most part. So it was very informational for us, the whole filter system that they use. I mean, we would talk about it and a question would come up and I'd say, I don't know, let me go watch Doug's video. And we'd go back and reference it, just trying to make sure we had all our bases covered and all the things that we needed in place. And then there's several other references that we've used in other YouTube channels, but that was a very big help for us. Yes.
Right. And so what would you tell people about the sheer amount of knowledge that, or how much listening to other people should they do before they actually try to attack themselves? So in other words, like Ryan said, I thought you just put something out there and caught the rain. It's more than that.
Yes. It's not hard though. It's pretty simple. Mm-hmm. But yes, you definitely want to do your research. And I would say there are books out there. There's a gentleman, his name is, I think, Brad Lancaster. He has a couple of books and he gets into very extensive detail, like as far as like ponds and cisterns and all kinds of swells and all of that. But there's also a lot of good information just on basic rainwater and how water handles itself. Mm-hmm. But yeah, do your research. It's not that difficult. I mean, we started with a 5-gallon bucket on our back porch.
Right. There you go.
It can be that simple. It really can.
Start small and grow up. And you guys are still growing.
Yes.
So what would you say to the people who's considering to attend the Oklahoma Homestead Rendezvous? Mm-hmm. What can they expect to hear from you whenever?
Without giving away too much.
Without giving it everything
without
away.
Giving it all away.
Which I don't think you can, because there's a lot.
There's a lot.
A lot of knowledge to it.
Yeah.
But
we'll cover the whys. Why do you want to do it? The pros and cons, the change of mindset kind of thing, and the benefits. There are a lot of benefits to rainwater for a lot of different reasons, not just conservation or anything. And then just encouragement. I really want to encourage people to just think about it, even if it's just to water a garden or whatever your purpose may be. I don't want people to be scared. It looks kind of scary, but it's really not that scary.
Are you going to give them like a list of different suppliers that they can?
We will have references. Yes.
Some references to that.
And some resources. Yes, definitely.
Right. And so if you could shorten the distance between point A and point B for them, point A being a starter to, getting finished with it, those would be the kind of things that they can expect at the Oklahoma Homestead
from beginning
Rendezvous.
to being ready to get your system set up.
Right. So, bro,
Yeah.
what
Well,
you got there?
I guess, I mean,
Any other questions?
Well, yeah. I mean, you're in the process. Like I said, you're still building.
Right.
And I mean, this has been and that's the thing, folks. It ain't overnight. I've had my property for 5 years and
Not overnight.
still got. I will probably have work forever.
We were talking about that earlier.
And that's okay, though. As I said, there's not a day of the week I don't have something I could be doing. But what's probably been that most fulfilling part of that journey?
Knowing that we could do it and doing it together. Doing it together, I think, for us has been the biggest thing.
Do you ever just sit around outside at the sunset and just think, look at this?
Yes. We
Look
had
what
that
we've
conversation
done
on the
here.
way here.
Is that right?
Chris and I did.
Yeah.
Because I will say, look what I've done. He's like, but we're not done. We're not done. And I'm like, but look at where we are. Like when you think that this was raw land and it had nothing but trees on it.
Right.
Like you couldn't, there was no way to even get a
Yeah.
4-wheeler in there, nothing.
Right.
And then now we have, all this infrastructure, and we have a beautiful garden, and we have our animals, and we're still growing. I mean, we'll be adding more animals and things, but sometimes when you're in the throes of it, it is hard to sit back and look at it and say, look what we've done. Cause you always know there's so much more you want to do, but you do need to take that time and say, when we sit on our little deck in front of our RV and say, oh, look what we've done together. And,
Right.
and doing it together for us is the biggest thing. We have fun with that.
So obviously I've got to ask this question too. Do you miss the water bill?
No, I don't miss the water bill, and I don't miss the power
Well,
bill. And
You don't have to be so quick about it.
well, I'll tell you, it's funny because we laugh about this. We open our mailbox 99% of the time. There's nothing in it.
Well, right. That's a good feeling.
That's a good
So I'd say
feeling.
That's yeah.
Other than political ads or
Right.
junk mail, but
Oh, right.
yeah.
Well, well, listen, this wasn't on the list, and I'm going to bring this up. I mean, just because kind of in conversation here, picking it up, and now I was raised never to ask a woman her age, and I won't.
No, that's okay.
But obviously, I can figure that you were a grandmother when you started this.
Yes.
Okay.
Yes.
So, folks, age isn't the issue.
No, it's not.
Right.
No. No.
Because as a grandfather already, my wife's kids they grew up in town, so they didn't grow up rural. Me and Keith grew up on 6 acres. We grew up out in the country where you could run for days.
Right.
And now my grandkids are getting that.
Mhm.
And for me, that was the biggest enjoyment of having the land. Plus, as you mentioned earlier about the quiet.
Oh,
I mean,
yeah.
I always tell people that's my geographical happy place,
yes.
in the world. And so, I mean, I appreciate that you're sharing it. And I also appreciate that y'all are willing to just say, you know what, at whatever juncture you are in life, at that point in life, saying, you know what, let's do this.
Yeah. We actually waited till our kids were it just happened that way, but our kids were all out of the house when we found our property and started our journey. Now, our son did stay with us for the first 9 months or so, and he was very instrumental in helping us get a lot of things done.
I was smart enough to have one son-in-law and daughter on the property.
There you go.
They're our retirement plan. When we get old, they're gonna.
Yep.
They're there.
We have 40 acres, and our family is welcome to move on anytime they want to. So
Y'all heard that?
wow.
Okay?
they
Y'all
all know it. That would be my dream for all my kids to live and my parents to live
that's
on my
amazing.
property.
Yeah. Yes, Jack. Chris is in studio. He's just sitting off
He's
camera.
sitting over there.
He's sitting
Right.
over there listening to all this. Anyway, well, listen, hey, thanks for joining us. I mean,
That's my pleasure. I love it.
It's my head's growing. I could probably sit here and ask you questions for the rest of the night, but we can't do that.
Right.
I'm not seeing anything new up in the chat. I mean, so
Well, how about in the studio?
well, in the studio.
Yeah. Like one of the things that, a large part of our audience has homestead channels,
Right.
right?
Mhm.
And so, I just want to encourage those people that are watching this, that has their own homestead channel. There is nothing like going to an event like the
man.
Oklahoma Homestead Rendezvous and those types of things.
Mhm.
So I just want to touch and highlight that just a little bit, because I can tell you, we just went to our second one,
Yeah.
right?
Yeah.
And
Back
this
in
year,
March. Yeah.
and I had no idea. I
Oh.
had no idea how many like-minded people that was there. because sometimes in this world, you think you're the only one, especially if you're on a solo mission on YouTube, finding out all of these things that's going wrong in the world, or if you're finding out how to do something,
Right.
you might think that you're alone, but you're not. And if you go to these, you get to network with an awful lot of people. And,
Oh, absolutely.
You've done these events. You're a speaker at more than that, and I think you've got some other speaking that's coming up after that. Am I wrong about that?
I am doing the urban homestead at the state fair,
Right.
which Rachel and him had organized
Right.
through the
Right.
state fair, and there I'll actually be talking about canning because I also do
Right.
share about canning. So I'll be doing a canning presentation over there.
Okay. Yeah, I knew I'd seen your name on the list. I didn't remember the topic
Yep.
of
Yeah,
that.
so I'll be doing canning over there, and then rainwater catchment at the Rendezvous.
Right. So, what would you say that people could expect about showing up to these types of events? What's it like for you? I know what it's like for us.
Well, I've attended a few. I did Doug and Stacy's. We attended one of their homesteading expos too. I find that you learn a lot. You get to ask the questions that are particular to you. So if you're wanting to learn how to can, you can ask a very specific question and get an answer pretty quickly rather than trying to put it on a feed in a YouTube channel
Right.
or on a chat or Instagram or whatever. So it's very personal. And you also get to meet a ton of great people who are walking the same walk you are. And their story might be a little different, but you're on the same path and you
Right.
can make those connections. And that's the one thing about homesteaders is we love community and we love to build community. And so you get the opportunity to meet, and community does not mean your next door neighbor. It could
Right.
be another person who lives in another state, but just happens to be at that, that conference or expo or whatever you're at. And you make that connection, and
Right.
that's lifelong.
Yeah, one of the things that actually we learned it from Brandon and Stephanie Eddy, sorry, Steph, that make friends.
Yes, you make lots of friends.
Especially if you're somebody who's got a YouTube channel, because that's one of the ways that you grow it is you develop a friendship.
Yes.
And there is such a wide a range of knowledge in the crowd. It is so amazing.
Yes.
Just by doing the series that we're doing and being part of the Farm to Table Direct show, we have come across so many people that, especially talking to them like we're talking to you tonight, that has a specialized knowledge. And if it wouldn't have been for that,
no way to tap into
right.
it.
Right.
And I'll tell you this, if ever I do a rain catchment system in the future, and we're planning to, right?
Yes, we talked about that.
Yeah, we talked about it. And I'll be reaching out to one of my friends.
That's right. Exactly.
To say, hey, we're kind of stuck here. What's up?
Well, experience is the best teacher.
Sure.
And we have the experience, and we want to share that.
That's something I've seen across the board in the homesteading community and at these events, the expos and stuff like that, is not just that the knowledge is there, but the willingness to share that knowledge.
Yeah, because somebody else sharing their knowledge made our journey easier. So if I can share my knowledge and make your journey easier, why would I not do that?
Right. I think it's that selflessness that is there. I mean, there's something we've, over and over again, we've had conversation with people that it's not competition.
No.
It's
Right.
It's community, and it is trying to help.
Right.
And, and it's like any community, there's people that aren't going to click with each other.
Right.
Doesn't mean they don't respect each other.
Right.
They just don't click.
They don't click. Yeah.
And Chris, Oklahoma Homestead Rendezvous, it's a community is what it's all about.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, that's true.
Exactly.
Yeah.
I mean, I have great neighbors, but they're not doing the same thing I'm doing.
Right.
But if I wanted to learn something that I know they're doing, you bet I'm going to go knock on the door. And
Right.
YouTube and the rendezvous and things like that, that's exactly the same thing. You have the opportunity. And we went to, like I said earlier, we went to Doug and Stacy's, one of their homestead events, and a gentleman sat down across from us when we got to talking to him. Now we're in Missouri. He
Right.
lives in northern Oklahoma, and we met him and had a great conversation. He's also one of the presenters we were talking earlier about.
Okay.
So,
Yeah.
you don't know who you're going to meet. You could actually literally meet a neighbor
Right.
or
Yes.
somebody who you're going to actually be coming across on a regular basis. And it's just nice to have that community because we cannot do it all on our own.
No.
You cannot do this on your own. And you can't know everything you need to know to do this on your own. You have to have that support and that community to say, hey, how did you do this? Oh, well, this is our experience. These are the things we learned. And so maybe if I save somebody else from having an issue somewhere down the road and save them time and money and energy and frustration, it's worth it.
You know what I've learned? I got a whole lot of roofing because every bit of my roofing is shingle.
Shingles. Yep, you got a lot of roofing to do.
I got a lot of roofing to do.
Yes, you do.
No, it's been great, and it's that knowledge and it's that community, and it's that ability to share. And we appreciate you very much again coming down.
My pleasure.
And it was, I was just talking with Chris earlier. That was a great conversation. We were talking airplanes and stuff. So,
that's his thing.
But anyway, bro, I guess unless there's something else, I guess we can bring this on in for a landing, or you want to.
No, we're talking airplanes again.
Yeah. Okay. Well, you flew in them for a couple of years, So.
Yeah, I did. So, I just want to encourage everybody out there to come out and see what we're talking about. Because if you have not done this, I guarantee you have no idea what you're in for.
Oh, man.
The sheer pleasure. I mean, when we left there, as my brother said, I was exhausted from my nose to my toes.
Absolutely.
But it was so much fun, and we were on such a high after the whole thing, and we're looking forward to the next one. I mean, it's just like when you're done with one, you're starting to prepare for, what's coming next,
you want to go to the next one and the next one and the next one.
And this was, of course, was working towards, with Oklahoma Homestead Rendezvous, but it was this mindset that we kind of set in with us when we were at Okie back in March was, expo year round, because we get to talk to these y'all guys year round.
Right.
So for us, it's that way. And, I'm usually the one doing the walking around out there, it's the way it's worked out. People say, who was you I gotta go back and watch because there were so many people. And it's like when you've got 100+ vendors, you've got 3,000 or 4,000 people attending. But, we went from June in 23, which is the first one we went to because it was in June that year. 9 months later, we come back to that second one. And it was more like a reunion than it was new people on a block. It was like, hey, all these people you talked about. Linda, we are, see you, Jack. And Jack said, see you at the rendezvous. Jack and Dina did. They said that. But anyway, there was somebody, what are the dates again for the rendezvous? Well, that is September 27th and 28th. I will be going over that just a little bit more here in just a minute. When we wrap up, I'll give you the details on that particular thing there, Linda.
Right. And I want to say something else, too, about the rendezvous. We're still looking for sponsors, and we're still looking for people to volunteer. We need volunteers.
Heavy on the volunteers.
We'll be there. We're going to be doing our part. And if you've got a homestead channel, I can tell you there's no better way to make friends than be a volunteer.
Guaranteed, you will meet everybody. And it is. It's, it takes an army. A small army to put one of these things on.
Yes.
The simplest of tasks matter to be able to pull these things off. And Chris and Dodge them have taken on a huge undertaking,
monumental role.
And fortunately, there's been some good people jump on board with them to help out.
Yep.
But it is definitely an overwhelming task when you start trying to put this size of something together. And so hats
it's a lot of work.
A lot of work, and Chris and her team have been tireless with it.
Who would they reach out to if they want to volunteer or sponsor or even to be a vendor?
I was going to get to it in a little while, but we'll get to it now.
Okay,
that's okay. That's okay. No, I can do it. It's Oklahoma Homestead Rendezvous. You can find them on Facebook. It's also Oklahoma Homestead Rendezvous.com. Make sure I get that right because I've got it written down over here. Yep. I'm going to make sure. Yep. Nope, that wasn't the .com. That was a different one. Either way, you can find them on Facebook, Oklahoma Homestead Rendezvous. She also has an email, which is okhomesteadrendezvous@gmail.com. Nope. No, it's not Chris. Give it to me. I know you're listening. It's Yahoo. Yahoo.com.
Yeah.
They're on Yahoo.
Right.
I keep forgetting. Everybody else is on Gmail.
Right. And if you forget that, just look over in the live chat section. You'll see Oklahoma Homestead Rendezvous there.
There it is. Website
And-
will be up soon, she says.
Oh,
So there
okay.
will be a website coming soon.
Gotcha.
So you can reach out to Chris. Yeah, Yahoo.
Yahoo. Thank you.
Thank you, Chris. You can reach out to Chris, like I said, on the Facebook chat, reach out to that email. And, I know she'll be glad to sit there and give you the information on that. There's some stuff that can be sent out to you if you're interested in sponsoring, if you're interested in a vendor, speaker, whatever the case is. I know she told us the other day that I'm going to start working on the schedule in July. So getting all that lined out.
Mhm.
But you can reach out to her. Listen, it'll be a great time. This is, from everything I've understood and everything I've read, and in talking with Chris and them and in talking with other people, this is going to be a little bit different than what most people are, because there's going to be a farmer's market going on during this time. There's going to be
That's cool.
animal, people can bring their animals in and trade and sell while they're there. There's going to be the regular vendors. There's going to be food trucks that are going to be there. Live music is going to be there, as well as the speaker presenters and stuff like that going on. It is going to be really just an all-around event, and I will promise you, you cannot find a place cheaper to go. You can't get cheaper tickets than what this is. You can't get into this, even as a vendor, cheaper than what you can here. And I say cheap, I mean just low cost.
Right.
Because that was one of the big things, was to be able to make it affordable for anybody to come and be open to it. And I get that. And as I've told before on the show, as I've priced around the country, I know what the prices are to get into some of these places, as either just a attendee or as a vendor. And, so it is definitely that. It's the first one, as far as I know, in this part of Oklahoma, down in the southeast corner.
Mm-hmm.
It's going to be a great thing. It's going to be in the city of McAllister at the Southeast Expo Center. So there is hotels available there in McAllister. I know the city of McAllister is on board with her behind this. They've been helping to promote it and that type of thing. So it is it's a happening thing. And I've been to the Southeast Expo Center before. It is huge. There is a monumental amount of space out there.
Good.
There is actually some limited, but there are some camper hookups out there for people who may need them, but they're limited. There's only a few spots. And I know that I think they said that there's going to be some discount, there may be some discounts or something from some of the hotels in the area for those that are coming. So maybe
That's where I'll probably be.
that's where we'll be. We're getting with hotels for discounts. She just said, yeah. Okay. Verified. As I said, we have stuff in private chat that goes on, and sometimes I try to remember it. But anyway, so that's that. And I will,
bro, just a little bit before we
Wrap
sign
this up.
off here.
Yep. Mhm.
What do we got coming up next week?
Well, listen, man. Next week on July 2nd at 7 p.m., we are going to be having Stuart and Ashley Klaus from Restoration Farm
Coming back.
2.0.
Yeah,
2.0.
That's
That's
right.
right. We're bringing them back. Due to some issues with technology in our last live with them, audio was terrible. Just be honest with you, audio was terrible, and
We had to pull it down.
we felt we had to take it off, and we felt we owed it to them, we owed it to you, and to ourselves. To have them come back on and talk about their topic of homesteading. What they shared was great. It was just very difficult to understand it and follow it. And so, to be fair to them, to be fair to the topic, and to our listeners, even to people who want to learn, because I promise you, they dropped out a whole bunch of knowledge.
So if you want to see if we can catch lightning in a bottle twice, you'll have to show up.
You got to show up
next Tuesday, 7 p.m.
right here, same place. And so we're going to be doing that. And they're also going to be speaking at the Rendezvous on homesteading. This entire series for the next, all the way through September, will be people that are going to be speaking at the Rendezvous.
That's right.
Some of them will also be speaking at other places.
You want to drop a few names? Do you got any?
I've got a whole list over here. Let me see. Let me find there. Yeah, let me see. Of course, David Thoming from Arrowhead Land and Finance is coming in.
Right.
Dwayne Hall is coming in in July. Amanda Hardcastle from HLC Longhorns. Let's see, we're at Susan Gonzalez from Secret Garden Farms is going to be coming up this in August. Monty Shrunk from Suburban Sodbuster. Some of y'all may know who he is. He's going to be joining. Let's see, Morgan Hendricks from Wild Root Country Store. Lauren Denny from Simple Country Ranch, and Holly and David Lacey from Glory Hills Farmstead. That's our list through September. So we've got quite a action-packed
Our moderator just said, Ryan, speak into the microphone.
Okay, man, listen. Turn the gain up. Okay. Anyway, no, there's going to be, we've got an action pack July, August into September. It is going to be week after week. There's only, I think, maybe one or two dates.
Right, Tuesdays that we won't be.
The
on.
Tuesdays that we won't be on, we're going to be on every Tuesday. And then, of course, and I'm going to give you the list of things we've got coming up. Not only I just told you the shows we've got coming up, but September 6th and 7th at the Ozark Homestead Expo in Marshfield, Missouri. We will be there, Webster County Fairgrounds. You can get info and tickets at ozarkhomesteading.com. I have been told be sure to book a place early in Springfield. It's the nearest city you can find hotels. But I've talked with Cheryl up there. Cheryl Jenner, she's the one that puts that on, and they are 4,000 plus attendees. They've got, again, well over 100 vendors. They got a lot going on up there. And this is going to be, I think, consecutive year number 5. They started in 2019, and it is one of, by accounts, one of the top in the country.
Yes.
And so, we are certainly excited to be allowed to be a part of that and to have been, asked to come up. And so we're looking forward to that. That'll be September 6th and 7th. Of course, Urban Homestead Expo in OKC at the State Fair, Oklahoma State Fair on September 15th. Entry is included with the price of admission to the fair. So you can get to come have the fair. The kids can run around. You can get your State Fair corn dog. You can go hang out with some of us homestead people. And,
and besides, we'll be there just hanging out. We're actually not working.
Yeah,
that
we're
day,
not
so
working. We're
we'll
not
be free
covering.
to talk.
We're just there to hang out. We will be in the Farm to Table Direct Show T-shirts.
Yeah.
So if you see us, come up and say hi. That's being hosted by our friends at Hidden Heights Farm and Keeping It Dutch, who are also behind Okie Homestead Expo. So they were asked to do that, and they've put that together, a very specialized set of speakers focusing solely on urban homesteading.
Yes.
So doing things that you can do in your backyard, in town, doesn't matter where you live, kind of thing. So a lot of knowledge there to absorb. I've seen the list of speakers. I don't have it in front of me because I don't have my computer like I normally do. But it is it's definitely worth the drive. Like I said, got the fair to go with it. So,
Right.
I mean, it's a blast. And of course, September 27th, 28th, Oklahoma Homestead Rendezvous, McAllister, Oklahoma, Southeast Expo. We're a sponsor of this event. I'm also going to be speaking, and you can get more info on their Facebook page, as we said earlier, Oklahoma Homestead Rendezvous.
And we'll be doing live interviews.
We will be live there. We'll be setting up interviews, much like we did at Okie Expo. We'll be doing some run and gun, going around talking to people, and just all of everything homesteading that weekend.
Yes, sir.
So Chris chimed in 33 hookups for the RVs.
Oh, that's
and
a lot.
so quite a bit more than I was thinking. And it's an 80,000 square foot expo building.
Wow.
So
Huge.
plenty of room.
Plenty of room to spread out.
Plenty of room. And so weather, that's the beauty of that, is if the weather happens to be shaky, we can, as it is, can be in late September in Oklahoma, we have the option of indoors. But it's going to be a great event down there. So as you can see, the Farm to Table Direct Show is going to be very busy for the next few months, bringing y'all lots of great content, and giving y'all a chance like this to sit with somebody that's a speaker, that's an expert, that's learned, that's growing through all of this as a fellow homesteader. And LaRain, where can they find you?
Bluff Creek Acres
Okay.
is our YouTube channel, and I am on Instagram as well. It's Bluff Creek Acres.
Bluff Creek. No Facebook page. No.
Not yet. I haven't gotten that far.
Yeah, okay. It took us a little while to warm over there.
Yeah, eventually, but not yet.
Okay, so Instagram and YouTube.
Yes.
Bluff Creek Acres. All
Yes.
right. And that's LaRain Cihak.
Yes.
Chiak.
Chiak.
Like chia.
Yeah,
Chia.
bro, I told you to practice that.
Listen, man, we have said that to each other probably 100 times this
On
week.
purpose.
On purpose.
Without even needing to, just so that we knew how
Try to get
pronounce
that
it.
right.
Yeah, it's a hard one because it's not spelled like you pronounce it.
Right.
Right.
And it's not Indian.
It's not Indian. No, it's Czechoslovakian.
Yeah, I was surprised
been
because I
from the
thought,
Czech.
this must be Indian.
Yep,
You
my
know,
husband
it's
is full-blooded Czechoslovakian.
not. All right.
All right.
So yeah,
Well, I didn't quite make it to the Czech Republic.
And the Czechs grow amazing beards, I can tell you that.
Yes.
Because Chris has got an amazing one.
he,
there.
he does have a nice one. Yes.
Yeah.
But,
Yep.
All right. Let's
Anyway.
get this thing wrapped
all
up,
right.
bro.
Well, listen, man. Hey, listen, folks. Listen again. Thanks for tuning us in. It's a great episode. Our great conversation with LaRain.
Thank you.
And man, I'm looking forward to hearing more. I'm looking forward to learning more. And it's my wife was looking for your channel last night. She's interested in the rainwater thing.
There's a few videos about it on there.
Okay, so she's interested. But anyway, we've talked about the events. We've talked about who we've got coming up. Kyle said that's debatable. He must be talking about the beard.
Yes, he is.
Well, my wife hates mine too, so
It's kind of a thing in our family. All the boys have beards.
Yeah.
So I have a
dig
cousin who said one time, if you want to find them, just look for the Duck Dynasty guys because they all have the
that's
big
a good reference.
fuzzy beards.
I remember watching that show and I asked my wife if I could have, if she cared if I grew a beard that big, and she said, "When you got their money, you can have that beard." So you see by this little beard how much money I got, how close I've gotten.
Yeah.
But anyway, but listen, hey, this has been great. This has been a lot of fun, folks. Hope you enjoyed it. Hope you found it enlightening. Again, hit the like, hit the bell, hit subscribe, share. Let folks know we're out there. That's how we get out there. It's word of mouth. It's not anything else we do. It's y'all supporting us and we supporting you.
We're stronger together.
That's
guys.
it. We are stronger together. We're on Facebook. We're on YouTube. Hashtag stronger together.
Yeah.
We are on Facebook and YouTube. The Farm, the number 2 Table Direct Show. That is the Farm, the number 2 Table Direct Show. Got it right that time, didn't I? But anyway, and so listen. As we always say here on the Farm to Table Direct Show, as we head out the door, remember, we are stronger together. And as always, prepare for the unexpected and keep it local.